Hello and welcome. I'm Kriti Mehta and you're watching the World Report on News X World. Let's start with a check of the top headlines this hour. A member of Iran's security forces was killed during protests that have swept across the country since last week, as per local media reports. Several people killed and others injured after an explosion ripped through a bar in the luxury alpine ski resort town of Crans, Montana. In a first, 34-year-old New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani takes his oath on a centuries-old Quran. He now becomes the first Muslim, first South Asian and first African-born person to hold that position. Australia has removed tariffs from all Indian exports to the country, implementing the agreements reached under the Australia-India Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement signed 3 years ago. The United States has carried out strikes against 3 vessels in international waters that were suspected of narco-trafficking, according to the U.S. Southern Command. The vessels were traveling as a convoy. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced the withdrawal of National Guard troops from Portland, Chicago and Los Angeles, hints at stronger comeback in the future. Russian President Vladimir Putin voiced his confidence on victory in Ukraine, while his Ukrainian counterpart Zelensky warned that peace cannot come at any cost. Elon Musk's brain implant company Neuralink will start high-volume production of brain-computer interface devices and move to an entirely automated surgical procedure in 2026. All right, viewers, let's start with some breaking news now coming in from the U.S. According to the USGS, the National Earthquake Information Center, a magnitude 5.6 earthquake has struck a region in Alaska, 108 kilometers north of Yakutat. The depth of the hypocenter is about 5 kilometers. It has also been reported that there is no tsunami danger from this earthquake. Right, and moving ahead now, Russian Defense Ministry has said that its air defense systems have intercepted and destroyed 168 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles over Russian regions overnight. This comes as President Vladimir Putin has used his annual televised New Year's address to rally his troops fighting in Ukraine and has said that he believed in victory in a war that he has framed as part of an existential struggle with the West. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that Ukraine wanted to end the war, but not at any cost, adding he would not want or sign a weak peace agreement that would only prolong the war. Right, joining me now in the discussion is Dr. Gilbert Doctorow. He's a Russian affairs expert and joins us from Brussels. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Doctorow, for joining me, and we extend you a very warm New Year greeting. Dr. Doctorow, what's your assessment? New Year's, new strikes. Where is this even ending?
Well, it's not surprising. The war is going on. Despite all the talk between Trump and Zelensky and Putin, the fact is that the war is going on. And that the two sides at war are in no position and no interest in compromise. If there were, the Ukrainians are clearly losing the battle. Even the major German newspaper, Die Welt, came out in the past week with remarks that the war is lost and that Europe should face those cruel facts and change its policies towards Russia. Despite that, Europe has given Mr. Zelensky every reason to continue the war.
Yes.
He has the funds, he has the backing, so we will go on.
All right, and that's in fact my next question to you. How are you seeing Europe's push to Zelensky, and do you think that's really helpful for the peace dialogue?
The peace dialogue is a figment of the imagination of the global media, which is fed by Mr. Trump, who wants to position himself as a candidate for the Nobel Prize. this is all understandable, but it doesn't bring the world any closer to peace. So I don't believe that negotiations will produce any results. The results will be produced on the battlefield, and they will not be conclusive in the sense of Ukraine suffering a knockout blow, capitulating, and so forth. No, there will be an end to fighting because the Russians will achieve their territorial ambitions which have a single purpose, to protect their own security and to ensure that Ukraine cannot be turned into a security threat to their country. So it will end inconclusively, but satisfactory to the Russians in their own terms.
What do you think is going to be the end of it all? Is this going to remain the status quo for a very long time to come? Is this going to be how Israel is continuing to fight its wars for years and years and years? Or you've said time and again there will be no breakthrough. It will be a halted conflict. It will continue to go on. What's your assessment?
Well, the position of the Europeans will change. What the Welt has come up with is overpowering. The problem that prevents recognition of that truth now is that so many of European politicians have invested their political capital in a narrative which shows Ukraine victorious, or at worst, Ukraine able to defend itself and inviting some Western support. That narrative will collapse before our eyes in the coming 6 months. So there will be a change. Things will not remain as they are. However, that said, it will be a frozen conflict. It will go on for decades, but it will be manageable, containable.
She was wanting to talk to Emmanuel.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Doctor, for this discussion. And with that, viewers, we're now going to proceed. Now, let's tell you that the UK government is indicating its second highest annual total of small boat migrant arrivals, with more than 41,000 people reaching England's southern coast of 2025. Now, Home Office data shows the figure is just below the record set in 2022, which highlights continued pressure on authorities to handle irregular crossings across the English Channel. The final figures are expected to be confirmed later today. The tally comes amid growing political tension as anti-immigration party Reform UK, led by Brexit campaigner Nigel Farage, gains momentum ahead of key local elections in May. Migration has become a central issue in the national debate. Moreover, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is facing increasing scrutiny over the government's response, with Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood proposing to reduce refugee protections and also end automatic benefits for asylum seekers. Additionally, under a recent returns deal with France, some migrants have already been sent back across the channel, although numbers remain limited. Joining me in this discussion now is retired Major General Dr. Rajan Kochar. He is an international relations expert from New Delhi. Thank you, Dr. Kochar, for joining me once again. Now, UK continues to shield economic fugitives. We have some there in India, from India also, who are sharing videos and rejoicing, mocking Indian authorities. But it does not want to give asylum seekers any protection. It doesn't want to give refugees any protection. Do you think it needs to assess its migration policies with more depth?
Thank you, Kriti. The problem in this the immigration issue is rampant in many countries. What we are observing, UK is one of them, predominantly Canada, United States, other countries, and in UK itself, UK has a population of around 68 million, and out of that, approximately 11.4 million are the people living in UK who have been born outside UK. So approximately 16 to 19% is the immigration population, and as per the data of 2025, there are almost 1 million illegal immigrants in the United States. The You see, unfortunately, why uh, a check on this problem is that even if these illegal immigrants get caught, the punishment or the actions which are taken against them are not stringent, because they have their basically offshore processing proposals. Asylum laws are not very conducive to actually prevent this. And certain factors. See, we'll have to see that why these people are coming inside, because that is also relevant to the discussion, that why people see uh, Great Britain or UK as a lucrative destination for coming. Firstly, is that of the ethnicity factor. You find their own relatives, everybody is staying there, so they feel uh, comfortable in this environment, because the environment is their own environment. Second is economic collapse is taking place in the other regions of the world, like Africa, South Asia, Middle East. So these people are also finding it easier to come here. Then smuggling networks are there, and ingenious methods of smuggling them inside UK is also being adopted. And this government, since it has taken over, has had a tremendous pressure on itself to curb this migration. And the asylum infrastructure which is available also uh, is a problem, because of local authorities are also facing a problem due to administrative stress and the fiscal stress, because there'll be court cases involved. You'll have to keep them in a particular place, and these court cases also linger on, because till such time a judgment is actually given, these people cannot be deported. So I think from the strategic point of view, the European Union can play an important role, because that kind of coordination, if you can have with that because France and Great Britain bilaterally are not able to come to a congenial agreement to actually curb this thing. And uh, stringent laws are also required now, because deterrence is not there, and people know, okay, at the most there will be a penalty or something like that, they'll be deported. So if you have stringent punishments, you putting them into uh, prisons, and for a longer time, and a strong legal action actually taken against them, this will remain a vulnerability in the United Kingdom.
All right, that was a very comprehensive response. Thank you, Dr. Kocher, for our viewers. But do stay on with me. Now, Indian tobacco stocks still slid after the government induced a new cigarette tax, driving up costs for about 100 million smokers in the world's most populous country. Market leader ITC, maker of Gold Flake, slid 9.2%, while Godfrey Phillips India, which distributes Marlboro, plunged 14.1%. ITC shares traded at $4.06, their lowest since April 2023, heading for their worst day in almost 6 years, while Godfrey Phillips faced its sharpest drop since November 2016. Meanwhile, India's finance ministry announced an excise duty of $25 to $103 per 1,000 cigarettes based on length, effective from February 1. Dr. Kocher, what's your assessment?
It is that, first of all, this has been a policy of the government, because it actually affects the health of the
Yeah,
nation.
luxury tax, yeah, demerit goods tax, yeah.
hello.
Yeah, please go on.
Okay. So you see, government policy has been that it is uh, detrimental to the health of our population, where the people, large number of people are smokers in our country. Second thing is that cigarette taxes have not kept pace with the inflation in recent years, and therefore, effectively, cigarettes are more affordable, I would say, in legal terms. Secondly, India or the government has a long-term commitment to reduce tobacco consumption in the country, because it is a health issue which I actually mentioned to you. This market is bound to react because uh, it is going to impact the sales initially, but I think the people who are addicts or who resort to smoking on a regular basis and who can afford it, I don't think there'll be a reduction in the consumption. People may change their brands from a more expensive to a lower expensive brands. Companies may also resort to dynamic marketing strategies, because as a management expert, I can tell you that whenever price rise takes place, companies also adopt
Yeah.
different marketing strategies in order to sell their cigarettes. They may say that if you buy three packets, you'll get one free, something like that.
But
So,
then doesn't that defeat the entire purpose of the higher tax rates? If the idea is to deter more smokers, and then the marketing companies devise ways around it to have more customers buy these products, cigarettes, demerit goods, what should the government really do to address the challenge of health issues, like you said, that come from smoking?
see, I think government needs to invest more on education,
Yeah.
more in the social media, and a blitzkrieg kind of a campaign should be launched right from the schools and colleges, because once you pick up a habit, and normally one picks up this habit either in school or college, you tend to take this habit on to your adult stage, and I don't think there are very many smokers who gave up smoking after starting on this thing. The percentage would be not more than 10%. So a problem here is that government can only do that much. People have to get conscious of this move of the government, and need to realize that why government is doing that, because without the support of the people, government is not able to enforce much, because you know what the government can do at the most, it can increase the tax to actually make it more. These people from the poor people from cigarettes, they will migrate to BDs. You see, these all manipulations will take
Would you
place, but
say that the government could also, impose certain kind of penalties on the manufacturers instead of having the burden entirely on the consumers?
see, government has already, you know, how much penalty can you enforce? Either you stop this consumption in the country, but government is also wanting taxes,
Yeah.
because government is also wanting revenue. See, the same thing happens with liquor also. Liquor also, you have seen some states, it is prohibited, like Gujarat does not allow any liquor shops or sale of liquor in Gujarat. Even movement of passengers from one state to another, if you are going through Gujarat, cannot carry liquor with them. So these are some of the measures. See, these states also will need to control this aspect. It is not only the center, because you can impose tax on the manufacturer. You are ensuring that a manufacturer will try to reduce his uh, manufacturing capacity. but at the same time, you also have to look at the people who are employed in these industries. A large number of people are going to be employed in the industry, and if you impact the manufacturers also, you are leading to more unemployment because they may resort to retrenchment. So, you see, it's a very, very connected social problem because it is not only reducing or imposing penalty on the cigarette manufacturers. It is also the public awareness because in case the people realize that it's not a good thing to have, and if the parents can enforce it, if the teachers can enforce it, and if the mentors can enforce this kind of awareness, only then I think this has to be like a mass movement, and it has to be social media can be a part of it, Instagram, WhatsApp, Twitter, and things like this. But I'm not very convinced that penalties need to be imposed on the manufacturer.
All right, sure. Thank you then, Dr. Kocher, for joining me in this discussion. And with that, we're now going to proceed to some news from Amsterdam in Netherlands, where a fire has broken out at a historic church during New Year celebrations, prompting evacuations in a busy residential area. Video of the scene show flames and thick smoke rising from the steeple of the Vondelkerk, a heritage church located near the popular Vondelkerk. Local authorities evacuated dozens of nearby homes after burning debris fell from the structure, raising safety concerns for residents. Dutch media reports that emergency crews worked through the night to contain the blaze and prevent it from spreading to surrounding buildings. There were no immediate reports of casualties. The cause of the fire has not yet been determined and remains under investigation. All right. And then moving ahead, viewers, the Trump administration has lifted US sanctions on 3 executives linked to the spy software consortium Intelexa. The decision partially reverses sanctions imposed last year under the Biden administration on 7 individuals connected to the group. The US Treasury Department confirmed that the sanctions were removed following a petition request and a standard administrative review. Officials said 3 individuals had taken steps to separate themselves from the Intelexa consortium. The executives whose sanctions were lifted are Sarah Hamau, Andre Gambazi, and Mirom Harpaz. Intelexa was founded by former Israeli intelligence official Tal Dillon, who remains under US sanctions. The consortium is known for its predator Spyware, which has been linked to alleged surveillance cases in Greece and reported attempts to target US lawmakers. US authorities previously accused Intelexa of enabling the spread of invasive spyware used to surveil over officials, journalists, and policy experts. Viewers, Iran now is seeing a 4th day of protests as unrest over the cost of living continues to rise, and the protests spread. Security forces reportedly stopped protesters from entering a local government building in the southern Fars province. A female protest leader was also arrested during the incident. The protest began last Sunday among shopkeepers in Tehran after the Iranian rial slumped to record lows against the USD. By Tuesday, demonstrators expanded to several universities in the capital and later to other cities across the country. Reports say that the rial has lost nearly half its value this year, and it is now trading around 1.4 million to the US dollar. This is fueling sharp price rises in Iran and deepening economic pressure on households. Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has appealed for national unity as authorities confirmed at least 1 paramilitary officer was killed during unrest in the western province of Lorestan. In an unusual move, the government has offered to open a dialogue with protest leaders, though it has not explained how much such talks would actually work. Moving on, let's also give you some news from France, which is planning to ban children under 15 from social media and prohibit mobile phones in high schools from September. The move comes amid growing concern over the impact of online harm and screen use on minors. President Emmanuel Macron has repeatedly linked social media to violence and mental health issues among young people. His government is expected to submit draft legislation for legal review in early January. Mobile phones are already banned in French primary and middle schools, and the new plan would extend that ban to schools. France also passed a law in 2023 requiring parental consent for under 15s to join social media. The enforcement has been difficult. Macron has said that he wants similar restrictions across the European Union, and public support for a ban remains strong according to the opinion polls. That's all we have time for. Do keep watching NewsX World for more international news and updates from around the world.